as a smaller part in the show, you were presumably less recognisable during the whole explosion. I mean, how was it kind of, did you sort of sit back and look and see everyone else going through this crazy ride?
Absolutely, yeah, it was quite remarkable. But remember, I came from Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
So it was a little bit of a leap, you know, into Twin Peaks. And a totally different set, completely. I mean, we were a family show. There were always children. I played a school teacher, so there were always tons of children around and their mothers, because every child has to have a guardian on the set. So yeah, it was a totally different atmosphere. But I had done Eraserhead before Little House on the Prairie, or actually at the same time. So, which was kind of schizoid. Go from Mariacs to Miss Beadle, in a flash. But I just adored David, and I trusted him completely. Until I actually asked if I could speak to Mark and David, because I said, I have an idea. It was like a week before the dinner scene. And I said, I have this idea, and I don't know if you understand it, but Major Briggs is military, and I believe Betty is Catholic. And of course, Bobby is screwed. So when we arrived to do the dinner scene, suddenly there was this huge thing on the wall. It was palm fronds and a cross. I mean, they went with the whole mere suggestion. I was just saying, this is how I understand the family dynamic. And they just went with it and made us Catholic.
Yeah. Mädchen, I have to ask about Shelly, about what Shelly goes through. During the series. I think at the time it was probably pretty rare to find such a direct portrait of spousal abuse on TV particularly. I mean, how do you feel looking back at it? Do you think it was tasteful? Did anyone come to you and say, this helped me? Did anyone get angry at you for it? How was your experience of that?
For the most part, it was strange because I think at the time there wasn't as much behind the scenes stuff that everybody got to see.
Right.
So there was a lot of belief in what they were watching. So I would be approached by people all the time, and they would give me wife abuse hotline cards.
Right.
And say that, gotta get away from him. And I would say, yeah, do you know that I'm an actress and I'm actually playing that part? And sometimes I would actually leave set still with the bruises on and not really think about it, and stop at the gas station to get gas on the way home, and it was like really shocking for people to see that. So there was that part of it. It was kind of funny in a way, but I felt a lot of responsibility as well. And there was somebody that was a friend of the family of where I grew up, and she had gone through something really similar. And so I kind of felt like the responsibility to portray it in the best way that I could, and I really had to try to understand somebody who was trapped in that kind of relationship and why they would stay.
Yeah.
Because I was raised by, pretty much a single mom. My dad was in the picture, but my mom was primary caretaker, and she was a really strong woman and raised me to be very independent. And so I really had to wrap my head around somebody who would stay in that relationship. And I had to really try to figure out what that was and what that looked like.
How did you and Eric Duray approach those scenes?
He was so sweet as a person. It was hard to be afraid of him, but as soon as the camera would roll, he would go right into it. And then, a swinging soap in a sock would come at me, and, I could only react. But, we didn't really talk that much about it. We just did it, and we were very, all of the directors that came in were amazing. All of the writers that we had on the staff, David and Mark, they always created a really honest platform and scene to play, and then they always really relied on the actors, like you said, to bring our ideas and our thoughts and our feelings. And a lot of times we would come to set and we would be completely prepared to do whatever was supposed to be filmed that day that we were given the night before. And I remember, very distinctly, David would say, let's not do that today. What do you want to do as actors? And you're just like, what? I stayed up all night memorizing those scenes. What do you mean? And it just made you, it really held you responsible and made you accountable and made you a part of the story, and really needed to, think it through and suggest things. So It was pretty amazing.
Just a question for all of you, really. Was there one person in the cast or on the set of Twin Peaks that you felt particularly close to, or one person that you've stayed in touch with ever since?
Harry Goes, who played Andy, I'm still in touch with. Kimmy Robertson, I'm in touch with. Other people I've actually worked with. Peggy Lipton, I've been in touch with. Heather Graham, I see all the time. David Landers, I see all the time. I see him next weekend. I sort of got connected to quite a lot of people.
It's hard not to, there's a lot of us.
Yeah, there's a lot. And I think it was such a great experience that it would be a shame to sort of walk away from the people that you kind of had such a nice time with. So, yeah.
Well, of course, two of the actors that we lost were two of my favorite, Don Davis and Jack Nance. When we started the series, Jack Nance and I were actually roommates and had been friends ever since Eraserhead. And so, I just miss him terribly. And Don Davis, too, was a dear friend. He used to come stay with my husband and I, and Don was the most loving, wonderful, gentle person. I'm very close to Catherine Colson, the log lady. We see each other quite often. She lives in Oregon, in Ashland, Oregon. She's with the Shakespeare Company there. Kimmy, I see quite a bit. Dana, I'm in touch with by phone, or whenever we have some event, that he's able. He lives in New York. A lot of us became very dear, lifelong friends from this. Weird.